up? It's the DeadEndRoad Show, episode 38. It feels weird to be getting into these higher numbers. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's strange. Like, I feel like, because, like, it's weekly, right? So, like, whenever we get into that, you know, year-ish range, I'm going to start feeling really weird. I don't know why, but I don't know. Something about it. Like, you know, you listen to other podcasts, and they have, like, these really big numbers. They're like, oh, episode 200 or whatever. And it's like, wow, how the hell did they get there? It's like, well, they're doing an episode every week. And it's like, oh, yeah, hey. That's how they do it. They do an episode every week, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get it now.
There's this one comic book podcast that's into like over 1,000.
I believe it. Yeah. I just kind of worry about the way I title the episodes, because the title of this show is already very long, and then sometimes I come up with really long titles. Mm-hmm. And so it just like it comes to this big string, and so then now the episode numbers are getting longer, and it's like, oh my god, this is it's too much information. It's already too much.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about the titles, right? Because you've come up with like some clever titles that kind of like play on stuff that we talk about in the episode, but they're not. And I'm just throwing this out there, like you don't have to like take any of this or anything, but so like for a show like ours that isn't terribly established,
right?
As far as like, you know,
they're too specific and inside jokes.
Not only that, but it's like they don't really tell you much about what you're getting into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to have an established show with titles like that, and it's like, oh yeah, that'll be interesting to see what they're talking about, and it's like, because you already kind of know what you're getting into.
Right.
But for us, it's like, I don't know if they're gonna grab somebody's attention in the way that something more like specific would.
I know, but like, I just think it's boring if I just title the show like, oh yeah, Norton antivirus Ethereum miner. Like But
at the same time, that might be more interest. That might catch somebody's attention. You know, it's like, oh, I wonder what that is.
But it's just really boring.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is boring.
Why can't I have for sale fart jar NFT never opened? Like that's a title. That's a title. It's a lot of words, but that's a title. You know?
Yeah. Well, like I said, you don't have to take any of this.
No,
just throwing it out there.
No,
I'm sure you thought about it already.
I definitely have. I know it's a concern. It's definitely a concern. Yeah, because like I think that to your point, I think one of the best, one of our most listened to episodes was the one where I just dropped I called it Afghanistan something when we talked about the 4chan idiot that went to Afghanistan. And so that was like one of our more simpler titles. Then on the other hand, one of the episodes that I was worried about, which was called Smash Mouth Steve Gave Me COVID, that was also one of our listened to episodes. So
how did Sexy Beasts and Where to Find Them do?
That one did really well. That was like one of our. That was also.
I don't think was that actually
ones.
That wasn't a real title, was it? I think it was something else, but
it was something along those lines. It was also very long though. I got to work on brevity. I got to do my Shakespeare. I gotta make it a little, more succinct.
Ooh, speaking of Shakespeare, that's a bit of a foreshadowing or a hint of something later.
That's true. That's true.
I haven't mentioned it to you yet, but
oh, I thought you were talking about Matrix, but
that too. But
yeah. So let's jump into our latest segment, because I started this segment because there was a lot of NFT shit, and then in the last week there was a fuck ton of NFT shit. So let's dive into some no fucking thanks. Great. Now,
can I before you get into, because there's a lot of stuff here.
There is.
But before you get into that, can I just can we play a video that I saw on TikTok?
Yeah.
Because so if you're listening to this for the first time and you don't know what an NFT is, I came across a really good explanation of NFTs on TikTok from this user at Couple of Goofs. Just a good explainer, a quick explainer of what an NFT is.
Pretty lady, can you explain NFTs?
I can. You must be a man.
Right.
And then you say, I'm not satisfied with having the easiest course of life in human history. I think I would also like to own something that doesn't exist. And then you give some other person, who I guess doesn't have to be a man, but probably is, thousands of dollars, and they say, you own this thing. they say, "Are you sure?" And they say, "Yeah. Here's a little post-it note that says you own it."
I mean, yeah.
There you have it.
That's basically it. NFTs are fucking digital receipts for usually JPEGs. They're usually images. Maybe sometimes you'll get an SVG, get the high quality version of the fucking image that you've decided to purchase the receipt for. But yes, they are digital receipts. That is basically it. If you want to be charitable, they're maybe digital deeds to JPEGs.
I saw somebody asked the question, and I was wondering the same thing. I think we even talked about this. Is like the ones that go for a lot of money, like the pieces of art, quote unquote art. Why is the art always so bad?
Because there are a couple factors. Because one, real artists want nothing to do with this shit. And they don't want their art to be used as NFTs, even though NFT people are just actively stealing real art to try to use as NFTs. Those ones you don't really see because the artists try to prevent that from happening. The other reason is that a lot of the NFT artwork is not. Sometimes they claim that it's being generated like algorithmically or like procedurally. Usually what they mean is that they created a fucking template in like Adobe Illustrator with a bunch of layers. So it's really just the same image. For whatever reason, they've decided to use personified animals. And it's usually like a bust shot. So it's like the head of a personified animal. And so they use the a million layers on top of the base creature, and they could just add a bunch of shit on top, whether that's recolorings, they can give it a cigar, they can give it a hat, they could whatever, give it a drop of blood, they can just add all this other shit onto it and say that it's a different image. So it's just sort of like going into a game that has a crazy character creator that like lets you just put anything on top of the character and just throwing everything on top of it and saying that it's a different thing.
Because each one needs to be unique.
Yes, quote unquote unique.
Yeah.
Yes, even though it really is just the same base image, just slightly altered or just having the fucking kitchen sink thrown at it. And then they'll claim that the more shit that it has, the quote unquote more rare it is, and so therefore its supposed value is higher. And this is all just being made up random shit. They're trying to take, I guess, the language of trading cards and apply it to things that they've just made up wholesale.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wholesale.
Because like trading cards they usually look nice and they're based on things that you like, whereas this has no actual meaning or like value outside of what they're claiming it does.
Right, like a trading card, like there are ones that are associated with trading card games, like you have your Pokemon, you got your Magic the Gathering, so it has that value in it specifically where it can be used to play a fucking game. So there's that. Then they have actual rarity, where like the rarest cards, only a few are made. I mean, that is obviously artificially created by the manufacturer of the cards. They only make a select number of those rare cards to determine that rarity. But then there are also other variables in collecting, like the quality of the print. If there are printing defects, sometimes that increases the rarity, sometimes it decreases the rarity. And I'm no expert on this shit, but this is just the quality of the physical card itself. If it has been damaged in packaging, if it it was taken out of the packaging, all that kinds of shit. And then sports cards is a whole other different thing, right? Because there are cards from decades ago that have historical value. There are especially in sports cards, I think there's a whole authenticity angle. There are variables with the printing there too. I think there are specific hockey cards where they look for the way that certain cards have been printed, because a lot of hockey cards were actually printed like on very cheap like card stock, and so they look for like misaligned prints and things like that to determine like first run cards of a certain set or something like that. And so yeah, there are like so many variables that determine the supposed, and you don't have to buy into that either, like the supposed value of actual cards. And so the NFT people are transposing that sort of language onto digital bullshit that they've just made up in Illustrator in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And saying that, oh, this is rare because we gave it a hat and sunglasses. That one's real rare. It's like, okay, man, yeah, sure. And then they'll say that it's like, yeah, no, this one gets you digital perks. Like, oh, you have access to the special Discord if you own this one, because you have to show proof of your NFT receipt to get into the special Discord. It's like, okay, that's not really value. That's not really the same as, you know, having a trading card that I can use to play a fucking video game or a physical card game or something like that. So yeah, that's NFTs in a nutshell. I know we've talked about it, but yeah, I guess we haven't given an explainer, so that is good that we've done that now.
Somebody, this is an aside, but it reminded me, somebody recently asked me if I was a hockey card YouTuber.
Oh?
Because in NHL, my team name is, and you might find this a bit cringy, but it's Great Day for Hockey, which is the, you know, like the Penguins, like, slogan or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like, I guess there's like a YouTuber with that same name for like his channel, and he opens like hockey card packs or whatever. So then somebody who played me in the game was like, oh, are you that YouTuber? And I'm like, oh no, I'm just, you know, a Penguins fan. They didn't even realize that was like the Penguins like motto. And then this guy turns out, of course, he's a Penguins fan as well.
Sure.
So I thought that was pretty funny.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So after our crash course on NFTs, there was a lot of NFT bullshit this week. So this first one, you're familiar with voice actor Troy Baker, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
can I just say, like, I don't know if I've necessarily had any basis for this, and maybe it's something I shouldn't say in a podcast, but he's always come across as kind of a douche.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. yes.
Like, not that he's actually, to my knowledge, really done anything, but like just kind of the energy that whenever I listen to him.
Yeah, his whole persona was very that's not funny that I say persona, but yeah, his whole deal was very douchey and head up his ass. Yeah,
just a little bit too egotistical.
Yeah. So yeah, Troy Baker, famous for Joel in The Last of Us.
One of my favorite video games of all time, by the way. So
along with a million other roles, like I mentioned Persona, and he played Kanji Tatsumi in Persona 4. He's million roles. I don't need to go over his resume. So anyway, he tweeted out that he was getting involved into some NFT scheme where
this is backing up my claim already.
Yeah, exactly. Called Voiceaverse NFT. And so he tweeted, I'm partnering with Voiceaverse NFT to explore ways where together we might bring new tools to new creators to make new things and allow everyone a chance to own and invest in the IPs they create. We all have a story to tell. You can hate or you can create. What'll it be? And then there's the requisite really bad art bust shot, which I suppose it's supposed to be him in a cartoon style accompanying the tweet. And so, of course, everybody disliked that. Everybody hates that because it's an NFT thing. And so it turns out that this Voiceverse NFT project is meant to be an AI algorithm where they take a person's voice and basically deep fake it and turn it into clips that are then NFTs that you can purchase.
But why not just have the person record the lines themselves?
Of course, yes. And so outwardly, it looks like they are doing like just a shitty version of Cameo, created like just an AI version of Cameo, a deep fake Cameo. And like, so then after just a modicum of digging, it turns out that they stole whatever AI module they're using from a basically an independent developer that you put up the their project as I'm looking for the right word. It's not freeware, but as like basically free license, like that anybody can use it.
So this is really starting to sound like the Matrix now.
Yeah, anybody can use it except the license states that you cannot use it for any commercial venture. So you could fuck around, you could use it for your personal projects, but you cannot use it to make money, basically.
And this is the thing that this is like the foundation of their entire thing.
Yeah. They completely just have taken their algorithm and are using it and saying that it's, hey, this is this thing that we've created and are partnering with these celebrities. And so then their stated goal of what their actual thing is, so like they're doing like they're selling these stupid clips or whatever, and apparently, like, I don't know, they just keep posting these drawings, so I don't know if they're also selling the NFT drawings of people. I don't know, like they're not even like posting that many clips, they're just kind of posting, like, here's one with the they also partnered with the voice actress for Diva from Overwatch, and so they did the same thing as Troy Baker, where it's just like they posted a drawing of her like a headshot, but nothing about her using her voice or like anything like that. Like they say they are, but there's not like a clip or anything.
I'm just still hung up on the whole deepfake aspect of it, right? Because if they have like the consent of these voice actors and they're on board with this and they're associated with it, then why do you have to fake their voices? I don't understand. That just takes away from the authenticity of it.
Because I guess you don't want to be an actual celebrity and have to sit there recording fucking NFTs.
Oh, so they're just going to be making like a ton of these, just like with slight variations and stuff?
So here's one. This is, they either used or they partnered with Stephen Curry, or is it Stephen Curry? I don't know. The basketball player.
So they're getting like huge names for this.
Well, see, this one, I don't know if they partnered with him or if they're just using him. So, hey, Stephen Curry, have you heard of voice NFTs? This is you in the voice verse. All right, and so they posted something. All right.
It just looked good from the time it left her hand, and I was like, wham, bam, can of ham, that's going in.
Okay.
Was that an NFT?
Supposedly, I don't know. They posted it on their Twitter. But like there's no, okay, and then they have to explain, FYI, the voice was not AI generated and was taken from, and then this YouTube link. This will not be available as an NFT, but if Stephen Curry is interested. Okay, so you don't even have like a thing. You don't even have NFTs. Like this whole project doesn't make any sense.
No, this sounds like a scam. I mean, everything related to NFTs, most things sound like a scam, but this especially. Like, what is going on here?
Their first tweet was, hey, have you heard of voice NFTs, Stephen Curry? This is a voice NFT. And then like, oh, by the way, this was not an AI thing, which is our supposed project. And this is not an NFT, but it could be. It's like, oh, so you're not even doing the thing that you're saying that you're doing.
Because the real thing probably sounds much worse than that.
Right.
Yeah, so they don't want to actually put that out there because people will realize, oh, this is shitty and we don't want this.
Yeah. So the day that Troy Baker did this, where everybody's like, nah, this sucks, man. This doesn't make sense and this sucks and you should not do this. He tweets out a little, it's not an apology. It's not even an explainer. It's just kind of some bullshit. But anyway, he says, I always want to be part of the conversation, even if sometimes that finds me in the midst of a loud one. Appreciate y'all sharing your thoughts and giving me a lot to think about. I'm just a storyteller out here trying to tell my story to whoever will hear it and hoping I can help others to do the same. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm grateful there are those who are passionate about their stance and not only feel safe to express that, but also have the means to do so. The quote, hate/create part might have been a bit antagonistic. Hope y'all forgive me for that. Bad attempt to bring levity. Anyway, feel free to resume the conversation, or not, as you please. I appreciate those with truth showing it, those who with support offering it, and those with anger doing their best to express it. And then devil horns hand sign emoji.
Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. Like he's too much. He's just too full of himself.
Yeah. And that was a week ago, and he has not said anything about it since.
It's kind of crazy to me that anybody still related to the video game industry is trying NFTs of any kind, because the backlash is always immediate and it is very vocal. Like people in like the video game community does not like NFTs anywhere near its stuff. So
yeah, and this one, not only did they steal their whole thing, they're apparently not even using it.
So their ad there was just a YouTube clip of something that Stephen Curry said.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes. Like that's what we do on our show, and we don't pretend that it's a product.
Yeah. Although to be honest, we'll talk about it later, but there's that Leon Draisaitl interview. If there was anything to be turned into an NFT.
Well, hey, this could be an NFT. You gotta let them know.
Do you think we should switch to that deepfake program for our podcast?
Oh yeah,
so we don't actually have to show up and record. We can just like type some stuff out and then just let the program do the rest.
Yeah. We could feed it all 37 previous episodes, and then it'll just spit out. It'll just be me saying persona. Bullshit persona. All right. So this next one, I don't know if you saw this. This one is fucking wild. So a group of intrepid crypto investors, which is always that just means it's like that. It's like the TikTok said. That's just a group of dudes. This is a group of dudes. Like, all right. So this crypto group who are calling themselves Spice DAO. They bought a copy of Alejandro Jodorowsky's notebook and notes for his version of the film Dune, which we talked about on a previous episode because you watched the documentary.
Yes. So this is a physical copy of the book.
Yes.
Which is in itself a very rare thing.
Yes. There's apparently only 20 of them because it's like this sort of like photocopied, because it was passed around to different studios, different people that he was potentially collaborating with, people that wanted to see it, so on and so forth. So it's not like there's like this one singular copy or like an original copy or anything like that. There are a few copies of it floating around. There's apparently estimated to be about 20, I think. So they purchased this copy for $3 million. It was in a Christie's Paris sale on November 22nd. So it was originally estimated to have a value of between 25 to 35,000 euros, and they purchased it for 100 times that.
That is quite the underestimation. Oh my God.
Yes. And so their goal with purchasing the copy was to, quote, issue a collection of NFTs that are technically innovative and culturally disruptive, a first of its kind. They are intending to splice up the book into NFTs and sell them, and burning the physical copy.
Oh, man. They should be put in jail.
Now.
I hate this so much.
Now, they claim that burning the book would be, quote, an incredible marketing stunt which could be recorded on video, and that the video itself could
become an
NFT.
NFT.
As an NFT. Yes.
Saw that coming.
Yeah. I just love the phrasing. We could record it on video if you want. If somebody's got their phone out, we could record it. We're just gonna burn it anyway. But if somebody's got their phone out, we could record it.
So this is just piracy. Like they're scanning the pages and they're selling them online. Like that's all this is. This is just piracy.
So they're claiming that they would digitize and make the book public.
Actually, no, it's not piracy because piracy.
Hold on.
Well, okay. You continue. I'm having many thoughts, but go on.
Yeah. Hold on. They claim they're going to digitize it and make it public, that they would produce an original animated series based on the book for a streaming service, and that it would, quote, a support derivative project. They state their goals here, quote, we won the auction for 2.66 million euros. Now our mission is to, 1, make the book public, in parentheses, to the extent permitted by law, in parentheses, 2, produce an original animated limited series inspired by the book and sell it to a streaming service. 3, support derivative projects from the community.
We need to. Has anybody told Jodorowsky about this? Like, we need to stop this. This is terrible. This is like his intellectual property that they're going to capitalize on.
Now, there are many, many problems with their whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, many problems. Number one, the biggest problem is that the book is already available online.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
I actually didn't know that. So somebody beat them to it.
You can view it online for free, yes, because there have been copies circulating since the 70s.
Yeah, so you figure somebody at one point would have wanted to share it with the world, right?
Yeah.
So that's good.
There is. I just literally opened here. I can even send this to you. I just from this article literally opened a. There's like fucking Google Photos. Link to scanned pages.
Oh, there we go.
Of the entire packet. High quality scans front to back. You can see all the designs. For free, and nobody's making a fuss about it.
See, this is the one thing I thought they had going for them because I didn't know these existed. So I thought, okay, maybe they were actually capitalizing on opportunity here because there is demand for, like, people would want to see this, I'm sure. But yeah, you can just Google it.
And you could just Google it. So clearly, they also were not aware of the fact that it is widely available online with a tiny Google search, and
Amazing.
people have fantastically organized it into an easily digestible Google Photos album with high quality scans. Now, so the other problem is that purchasing the book, does not give them the rights to do anything with it.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, has somebody told Jodorowsky about this? Because especially the animated adaptation thing, like, that can't be allowed. That's not possible.
Not even close. They have no shot.
No.
They have no shot. Even if these crypto dipshits could cobble together an actual team of real animators that could make something, one, presentable, and two, like, decent, that they could actually sell, quote unquote, to a streaming service, then they would be making Dune, okay?
Yeah.
They would be making Dune. They would not be making Jodorowsky's Dune or whatever. They would be making Dune. So then you have I don't know who owns. Well, actually, that would be the movie rights to Dune at that point. So not only would you be dealing with Frank Herbert's estate, which is still active because his son is maintaining and upkeeping that, then you'd be dealing with fucking Warner Brothers. So
yeah, this was not well thought out at all, and to throw $3 million out there at a plan that you didn't even think, like, literally the first big obstacle is a Google search away.
I would not want to fuck around with the IP team at Warner Brothers.
No, you'll get thrown into the Matrix. You'll get thrown into a little pod, and you'll never be seen again.
Right? Yeah. This is the second biggest media company that the world has ever seen. You're gonna fuck around with their cash.
I also wonder if they think, like, because Jodorowsky's 92. I just Googled him. I wonder if they think he, like, passed away.
Probably.
They probably assumed that he was dead. Yeah.
Seems they have no fucking clue. But yeah, I would not want to fuck around with Warner's money whenever they are planning on finishing the Dune trilogy. And you're going to try to put up some rinky-dink YouTube animation of Dune while they're trying to finish off an epic trilogy of sci-fi proportions that we haven't seen since Star Wars. Like...
And also, the documentary Jodorowsky's Dune actually did this already, because there's plenty of animation in that where he's telling the story of what would have happened in it. Yeah, so...
I figured, yeah.
This already exists.
And so then if you're not sticking so closely to either the original Dune or Jodorowsky's Dune, because he gets too close to Dune for
then you're making Star Wars.
Then you're making Star Wars, or then you're just making some random sci-fi thing, and then it's like, well, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Why would anybody give a shit what these crypto bros are making? Nobody wants to see that. They would want to see the actual Jodorowsky Dune, or they would want to see real Dune. So why would they give a shit what you're doing? So that's the other problem. And then the same. It's basically the same thing with the making NFTs of the book. Just because you purchase, this is basically the same thing as me purchasing a hardcover copy of Dune, like ripping it apart, scanning the pages, and trying to sell them as NFTs.
Yeah,
that's basically what they did.
Yeah, it's piracy, and you're trying to profit off of it.
Yeah. It's like they think just because they paid a lot of money for it
that they now own, like, the thing itself, like the rights to it.
Yeah, they did not purchase any kind of copyright. They did not purchase any kind of reproduction rights. They did not purchase any kind of IP rights. They purchased a physical book.
Like, they actually would have had just as much success, and by that I mean none at all, by going to Google and pulling up these, like, the scans that are already freely available and just turning those into NFTs.
Right.
Like they didn't have to spend the $3 million. You would have had the same exact result.
Same exact result. Same thing. Same illegality. Same thing, but they wouldn't be 3 million in the hole. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
They're probably thinking we'll make this back in like a week. It's gonna be so profitable.
Right. Yeah. So the lawsuits, if they go through with this, are going to be fascinating, and I cannot wait.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah, because
nobody should inform them about any of the legal problems here. They should just let them be. Let them go down this road.
It's it's gonna be very fun. It's gonna be very fun.
I mean, I would pay to hear Jodorowsky's reaction to this if he learns about it, because he's such a character himself. And just like thinking about, I mean, first you'd probably have to explain to him what an NFT is, but then once you got past that, I'd love to hear how he reacts to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He'd probably say something along the lines of like, do you know how many studios I went to try and get this movie made? You think you can do this now? Right. You know? Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah. It's just the fucking hubris of it to just be like, oh yeah, not even that we're going to make an animation, which is an incredible undertaking on its own right. Animation is like one of the harder forms. Like it is time consuming. It is labor intensive. Just that on its own.
Well, that's okay though, because with the amount that they make off of the NFTs, they can hire some very skilled animators.
That's what they think. Yeah, of course. So there's that. But then they don't even like just say that. They're just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna sell something to a streaming service. A streaming service is gonna pick this up immediately. It's like, why? Who the fuck are you? Who are you?
We're gonna go to Netflix and sell them a Warner Brothers property that we don't own.
Yeah.
Oh man.
They're not even gonna open your fucking email, dude. Ugh. All right.
You said they're called something DAO. It should be DOA because that's where this is going here.
All right. Then I got just a couple quick ones. Those are the two big stories. I got some couple quick ones here. So Norton, one of everybody's top two favorite antivirus softwares that loves to slow down your fucking computer and give you lots of annoying pop-ups. They've decided to get into the crypto game. They've decided to install an Ethereum miner onto your computer.
Now that sounds like the exact type of thing that an antivirus should be protecting you from.
Yes.
Okay,
so
just to make that clear.
So, antivirus software is infamous for blocking any sort of mining software. You have to like go through a million layers of whitelisting to get any kind of mining software to run on your computer. And even then, like every single like virus definition update will just continually block the mining software. You have to keep re-enabling it. So Norton's like, hey, what if we just slip ours in and then bing, bang, boom, we can block all the other ones. And there we go. People can just use ours. So there's a weird conflict of interest there. Then, as it turns out, all mining software for your use of it, they take a percentage because like, oh, we made the software, we're giving it to you to use for free ostensibly. So we're going to take a small percentage of whatever you're mining. And that percentage is usually no higher than like 3%. It's usually as low as like 0.5% and maybe as high as 3%. Norton is very brazen with it. They have said that they are taking 15% of whatever you are mining. Right off the top. And this is paid software. So you're already paying for the antivirus. You're installing an Ethereum miner. And then they're taking 15% of whatever you're mining.
I mean, it is clever that they're controlling an area where like they have the ability to block out everybody else. Like that's pretty clever. Yeah. But it's also just awful.
Yes. And there have already been reported problems where, and it clearly looks like old people that have no fucking clue what they're doing.
Sure.
Contacting support. They don't know where their coins are going. Their coins are missing. All kinds of confusing shit. They don't understand the transaction fees. Ethereum transaction fees are super fucking high. So like even if they're mining something and then they're going to try to trade it out of whatever little wallet that Norton gives you, it's basically gone because of the transaction fees. There are all sorts of problems. where they're trying to like if you're being charitable, they're maybe trying to make mining approachable to like the average person. But they're not actually going through the work of like explaining what any of this actually is or is doing, or how you're actually supposed to really use it, or how you should be like working with your own fucking funds. Like this is ostensibly money, and it's really messy. It's really gross. It's a mess.
And I can imagine that really all that falls onto the customer support people,
right?
Because they have to explain everything, because the company itself, because the company itself is so bad at that, then everything all the problems fall to them.
Yeah. So then you were maybe helping people set this software up. They were probably having problems with. If you're using Norton antivirus, then you probably have viruses anyway from all the weird shit you're clicking on. Because you're old and don't know what you're doing. And then all of a sudden you need to tell people how to like what Ethereum even is, and like what they do with it, or what it means, like all that shit on top of telling them not to click on porn, like you just it's a weird situation. So that's what Norton's up to. I think the 15% is just incredibly brazen. Like you're paying for this. You're paying like a subscription, because everything's a fucking subscription now. So you're paying for the subscription to this software, and then they're like, hey, you can make a little bit of money with our software, but we're gonna take 15% off the top.
Well, they can do it because their target demographics probably don't know any better, and then they've also blocked out everybody else. So that's why they can do it.
Yeah,
it's lousy.
It's gross. All right, so this next one, crypto.com, you might be familiar with them because they purchased the naming rights to the Staples Center.
Oh, yes, I heard about that.
So it is now the crypto.com arena. It is no longer the famous Staples Center. It is the crypto.com arena, where the Lakers play, where the Kings play. So crypto.com, they were hacked for, when I wrote this, it was $15 million worth of Ethereum, and as I was looking today, it turns out it was actually $34 million worth of Ethereum and Bitcoin was hacked because their two-factor authentication system was compromised, and transactions were being approved without the need for two-factor authentication being controlled by the user.
So once again, the thing that is supposed to prevent something from happening is the cause of the problem.
Yes. So 483 of its users were affected, and the unauthorized withdrawals of over $15 million worth of Ethereum and $19 million worth of Bitcoin and 66,000 in other currencies occurred. So that's a total of $34 million. And this is higher than what they originally had stated.
I'm assuming Ethereum and Bitcoin are not backed up by like the FDIC.
No. Nope. No, they are not. You have to pay taxes on them now, but no, they are not backed by any kind of protection whatsoever. No.
So is this all just gone?
It is gone.
Wow.
It is gone. So this TechCrunch article says Crypto.com is the world's fourth largest crypto exchange. It's been pushing into U.S. markets, including viral advertisements featuring Matt Damon. Have you seen that ad?
I have not.
It's very strange. It could literally be an ad for anything at all. Like just think of any product, any service. Mm-hmm. And then at the end it just says crypto.com. Like
there's a chance I have seen it then. I just thought nothing of it, and it's passed by me without me realizing.
It's just Matt Damon kind of walking around a thing that looks like an Apple store, and he's talking about being brave and bold and doing things and being out there and being brazen and all this kinds of shit. Just like talking. It's just this weird monologue. And then at the end, like he looks at a mountain or something. I don't know. And then it's just crypto.com. And that's the ad. Huh. It's like 45-second spot. It's really strange. Yeah. Very strange ad. But yeah, they have been pushing hard. And so then of course that means they're going to be a target for an attack, because the more mainstream they get, that means the more casual users will flock to their service. The biggest thing that people can do is if they're even slightly in crypto or whatever, and they're using these exchanges, do not leave your shit onto the exchanges. You have to keep your shit into a wallet that you control. Otherwise, so nothing can touch it. Like otherwise, this kind of shit can happen.
I mean, this is like a large scale like bank robbery, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. This is like a bank being hacked.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's no backing. There's no insurance on it. So it is just gone. Crypto.com could do something, and I haven't seen anything about them like taking steps to be like, hey, you know what? This was our bad. Our security was lax. We're just gonna eat this and reimburse these users.
I would hope that they do something like that. I mean, I'm sure they have the means to.
They definitely have the means to, or at least they're pretending to have the means to, throwing all this cash around. Whenever these hackings take place in the crypto space and they lose this kind of money, they just kind of shrug their shoulders and say, oopsie, and then hope it blows over.
Oh, wow.
It happens again and again. Other exchanges get hacked. Mining operations get hacked, or in the case of some other ones, they pretend to get hacked. They lose the coins whenever they're at a very high value, quote unquote lose, and then they suddenly regain the coins whenever they're at a very low value, and then reimburse the users, which happened in the case of, I don't remember which mining operation that was, but that was something that they did. So yeah, there is really nothing forcing them to reimburse their users,
right?
Especially because, as this article states, this was only 483 users. So it seems that like probably large accounts were targeted, especially because that's a lot of money for only like 500 users.
Oh, so this person could have been like a Robin Hood if they actually like distributed it back into.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like they took from the wealthy but that's not what happened here.
Right. So yeah. If you have crypto, do not keep it on exchanges or trading platforms because you have no protection whatsoever. Put it in a wallet.
Stories like this make me feel justified by not giving any kind of a shit about cryptocurrency and not doing anything related to it.
It's the smart way to go. It is. It is. All right, so we got one more here, and then we can get out of this segment. Twitter is introducing NFT profile pictures. So you can identify, even with higher precision, who is an NFT dweeb and who is not. Even though they usually let you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not shy about it.
It's usually really easy because you see a really ugly monkey or a lion, or they put .eth in their username, and so you know that they're a crypto dork. But now Twitter is like, okay, yeah, we're just going to let you identify them. So if you are a paid subscriber to Twitter, which is a thing apparently,
they must not have been pushing that too hard because I've never heard of that.
I think it's relatively new.
Okay.
So if you're a paid subscriber to Twitter, and if you link your fucking wallet to Twitter, which don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, you were just saying keep your wallet out of reach from any sort of.
Don't do that. Don't do that. We talked about it before with Discord doing trying to dip their toe into NFT shit. Don't link your financial shit to social media profiles or messaging profiles or gaming profiles. Don't do that. Don't. But if you're an NFT person, go ahead. So if you pay for the Twitter subscription and you link your NFT wallet to Twitter, you now get a hexagon instead of a circle profile badge around your NFT picture.
Okay.
Whoopee.
I mean, hey, this is better than what we talked about earlier because there's actually like something like tangible here.
Sure.
I mean, it's
but
it's a low bar, but
okay, yeah, but it's like you paid thousands of dollars for the ugly monkey, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you got suckered in that, and it's like I need everybody to know that I paid for the ugly monkey.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like you have to cough up even like I don't know how much the Twitter thing costs. Say it's $5. Say now you have to pay $5 a month to Twitter for everyone to see your hexagon ugly monkey, and you're just like, okay, yeah, I got to do it. I just got to keep plunking down cash. I mean, I guess at that point $5 is nothing if you're paying exorbitant amounts of money for monkey JPEGs, but
why give your money to Twitter though? Why not like find a Patreon or, you know, some independent artist or, you know.
if they wanted, that's the problem. If they wanted good independent art, they would have done it. They wouldn't have bought the monkey JPEG.
It's true, yeah. So this audience is already too far gone, yeah.
So I'm at this point, I'm like, all right, let's just bleed them dry. Let's just keep funneling the cash out of them. Unfortunately, it's going to Twitter, but like, let's just keep funneling the cash out of these dweebs.
Sure.
They want the hexagon, they can get the hexagon. I saw one of them was like, oh, I thought we'd get a check mark or something. It's like, what? Why? Okay, yeah, okay. You're a verified dork. Like, what?
I don't like the shape
man.
of a hexagon.
Yeah. Like, okay. And then I saw TweetDeck, the Twitter alternative app, has a plugin called Better TweetDeck, and they quickly updated it to allow you to instantly mute anybody that has a hexagon.
Terrific.
So you can go ahead and get that going. But
you know what I might have to mute? And I'm not like saying anything bad about it. A lot of people seem to be enjoying it. I just don't do it. So I like feel out of
the Wordle.
Loop. The Wordle. That's like half of my Twitter timeline. It's just squares.
I did it. Yeah, like the second day I saw that shit. Yep.
I mean, it's cool. People seem really into it, and they seem to really enjoy sharing it, which is fun and stuff. But I just don't get anything out of it, so I don't do it.
Yeah. Good for them. I can't give a shit. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
That was an easy, quick mute. Easy.
At first, I'm like, ooh, am I getting really old because the people I follow are into crossword puzzles now? But it seems to be catching on pretty much everywhere. So
it was a lot of older people.
It is
like our age and older that like I follow that were posting it. And I was like, I can't. If I'm not going to be into it and it's not really interesting to see or whatever, but like I still, want to follow these people.
Yeah, it's just like a bunch of indecipherable squares and then replies being like, "Whoa, that's amazing." I don't understand.
Yeah, it's like, all right, cool. If you're having fun and you're talking to people that are enjoying it, fine. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna like say like, oh, you shouldn't post this.
Oh no, not at all.
It's do what you want to do, but I don't want to see it. Yeah, I am with you on that one. But yeah, that was no fucking thanks. That was basically the entire show this week, I guess. But there was a lot going on. So yeah. While we're in the tech sphere, should we just enter the Matrix?
Sure.
Okay.
I should probably disclose something.
Okay.
Just, full transparency here.
Sure.
I did not end up finishing the second Matrix movie.
Okay.
Nor did I watch the third Matrix movie.
Okay.
I went and skipped right ahead to the Matrix 4 Resurrections, and I did watch that in its entirety, which is what we're talking about today. So I wanted to make that known.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Did you do a synopsis reading?
I was like, I should do that.
Yeah.
But screw it, and then I watched the fourth one without any sort of...
this is gonna be interesting then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I mentioned last week how the Bechdel cast podcast, they talk about movies, and they were talking about the original Matrix movie a few weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
Well, one of the hosts on that show, this was apparently not the first time they've discussed the Matrix, because back before they were really popular and like monetized and anything, they did a Matrix episode like years ago, and one of the hosts admitted that she was busy that week and didn't actually watch the movie beforehand. So she went on to the show and just made like very like non-specific answers to everything.
So are you like recreating that, or is
not intentionally, but I do feel better about because at least I watched this movie that we're talking about. I just don't have the full background on it.
Yeah.
It's still not great, but
well, that's okay. When I watched the third one, I was mostly on my phone, so
okay.
Yeah. So usually you're asking me what I thought to start off, but now I'm pretty curious what you thought
of the Matrix Resurrections.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked it quite a bit. I had a good time. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what they were doing for the first like 30 to 40 minutes. But I was really into it. Mm-hmm. I was just kind of like going along with it, which I think was intended, even if you were caught up fully on the series. And yeah, I thought it was super super clever, like the way they handled the whole opening and the way it was structured. Like there were a lot of parallels to the way the first movie is structured.
Yeah.
And just like the way that it differs and like the commentary it has about itself, basically, and like its own existence and how it fits within our world and its own universe and all that was just really cool. And yeah, I was impressed with it. It's a very smartly written movie. And like a lot of people have been calling it like a, you know, like the antithesis to the big blockbuster sequel. And it manages to sort of be that. Like it definitely is like making a commentary on that, but at the same time, it's very, very much a nostalgia driven sequel too. Like it can be a commentary on the thing while also being the thing and being an effective version of the thing, if that makes sense.
No. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was into it quite a bit.
Does it make sense if we give a plot overview?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why not. I would definitely leave that to you though, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah. So Matrix 4, the first half, or maybe not even half, but the opening segment, we have Thomas Anderson, who we usually know as Neo. He is actually a game designer, and it turns out that the original Matrix trilogy was just a series of games that he made. These very critically adored, loved by fans, massive success series of video games.
Bullet Time.
Quick Time. That he was the creative lead, the writer, basically the guy for. And he's working on some other kind of project. It's not really important. But then it is quickly, basically, he's told that he has to make a sequel to The Matrix.
Yeah, Warner Brothers is demanding it.
Yes, his parent company, Warner Brothers, has told him that he has to make a sequel to The Matrix, and if he doesn't, they're going to make it without him anyway. So that is the status of things there. And he is being told that sort of his experience that we knew him as having experienced in the previous Matrix films were delusions. He had a nervous breakdown. And they were figments of his mind, is a coping mechanism of his mind. He's seeing a psychiatrist who is played by Neil Patrick Harris, who is trying to help him through this, issues that he's having. He's taking a medication for these issues.
Just to intervene there. So like,
oh, please, yes.
The very last scene in the original Matrix is this like triumphant moment of Neo flying into the sky, off of like a roof, right? Mm-hmm. And here his like delusions and his breakdown causes him to like jump off of a roof during like a video game awards party. Yeah,
here it is framed as either a suicide attempt or a delusion where he believed he could fly.
Right.
It's sort of left ambiguous at that point. And I think it is very funny that the game award he was holding looks exactly like the game awards from the Jeff Keighley.
I was gonna say, that was really good.
Yeah. I think that's basically where we should sort of leave it.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Because otherwise, if we explain like the opening, it's gonna start get confusing already.
It as a movie, it flows really well and it doesn't feel as complicated as it is. But once you try to break it down, like there's a lot going on here.
Yes. If you try to explain how the actual opening is like a remake of the opening from The Matrix, then you're getting confused, because then it's Neo working on I forget what the word they use for
a
it,
module.
but he's a module of the Matrix, but it's just viewed as like just a slice of the game that he's working on, rather than it being like an instance of a like pocket reality. I don't know how to explain it, but so like if we start getting into that shit, that's really going to be incomprehensible to follow unless you have seen the movie. But like that's sort of the setup of the movie. That's where Neo Thomas Anderson is at.
And this is where the like meta commentary comes in, because this is all a way for Lana Wachowski, who directed this and wrote the screenplay, to sort of explore how she came about, doing this sequel, right? Because like she is basically Neo in this instance, and she's trying to figure out how to make, or if she should make, a sequel to The Matrix, and kind of living with all these decisions and the legacy of it and what all that means.
Right. Yeah. Like you whenever he is initially told that he has to make the sequel to The Matrix, and he is basically having PTSD PTSD symptoms. He's, physically affected by like flashes of memories of, The Matrix. And like, yeah, the parallels are not hard to, like, they just call the studio Warner Brothers. Like they don't even like, it's all right there. This is not, deep subtext.
No,
the commentary is right here. But it's not overdone either. It's just like, okay, yeah, this is, these are the stakes. This is how this went down. And I think it was done really well. Especially because of the way it's written. It's not like it's just like this wry, sense of irony to it, where it just sort of works. It's just like, what the hell are you gonna do? Like, you got to make a Matrix, like. So
yeah, and the way that it sort of, not to go into spoilers for what happens beyond that, but like the way it seamlessly fits into the larger story, like of the movie and where the direction it's headed, is really cool as well. Like it just fits really well with everything that they were doing in this film.
Yeah. How did you feel about our new Morpheus?
So that's one thing I was a little bit unsure about, not having known the sort of fate or full arc of Morpheus throughout the three movies. I honestly didn't know what to make of it because of that. So it's a different actor. It's not Lawrence Fishburne.
It's not Lawrence Fishburne. It is a different actor. Spoilers, not really. It's explained in the beginning-ish. It's a different Morpheus.
Okay. Yeah, that I also couldn't quite grasp. Like what? Like it seemed more like he was like a sentient AI than he was like a person.
Yes. He is basically Neo's AI recreation of Morpheus.
Okay.
So it is a different character, basically.
Now, do we know any background about why Fishburne isn't in this movie?
From what I saw, he was not approached to reprise the role.
Oh, interesting.
And neither was what's his name? I always call him Elrond from Lord of the Rings because that's what I know him best as. But Agent Smith.
Oh, he wasn't asked either.
No. So
I assume that both of these actors were replacements because for whatever reason they couldn't get those two.
No, that's what I saw. I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know how true that is. But that's what I saw. Is they were not even approached to take their old roles back. So that's why you have this different Morpheus, and you have a different Smith who was the kid from Mindhunter on Netflix.
Oh, is that what he was from? I knew I'd seen him in something, but I couldn't quite place it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So if I guess it's trickier then if I thought they explained it decently enough that he was like, oh, this is not the same Morpheus, but it's like.
So I should also
Morpheus.
I should also mention when it comes to, I especially struggled with this like in what I saw of the second Matrix movie, and it was also a bit of an issue for me here. The sort of like the tech side and like the science fiction-y side of this franchise.
Yeah.
And the sequences of like dialogue where they explain why things are happening and what's happening and all that. I sort of like yada yada it.
Sure.
And so they probably did explain that effectively, but I just kind of, that's not what I'm really interested in here. Like for me, like the driving force of this movie is Neo and Trinity.
Right. Well, yeah.
And that really is for, the core of it anyway. Like that's not just for me, that's like what the core of the movie is, right? But it's like the human side of it is what interests me, and like the sci-fi stuff doesn't really grab me the same way. I kind of like not tune out, but like kind of just like gloss over some of that stuff.
No, I definitely know what you mean. For me, I have to pick and choose what I sort of like glaze my eyes for whenever they're rapidly explaining things, and what I feel like it's like, oh, I probably need to pay attention to that. So like the Morpheus stuff, I was like, okay, I really want to know what's going on with this Morpheus, so I should probably give a shit. So I guess I picked that up.
Yeah, no, that's important, and I think it's probably much more interesting if you had watched the entire trilogy.
Yeah, well, because if you remember, well, I guess you don't, but the second one, whenever they go see the old lady again.
I did see that. That was before the big fight with all the million Agent Smiths. I did get through that, yeah.
Yes, and so she's a different actress from the previous one, and she explains, she's like, oh, I probably look different, right? And then she kind of explains why she's different, but not really. Well, it turns out in that instance, the previous actress died, and so so they had to recast the role if they were going to still use that character, and so they decide to actually explain it in the fiction, right? But then that's one of the other things where it's actually fully explained in that video game from the PlayStation 2.
Oh man.
So they sort of explain why she looks different. It's like, yeah, I'm a program, so programs can change appearance. That's basically the gist of what she gives. But then in the video game, it's like she made a bet with the French guy or whatever in order to save the little girl.
Okay.
From the third. Oh, that was the third one.
Oh, there was also a little girl in the first movie.
Was there?
Or yeah, because he's waiting for something, and he's like in this place that's like got all these children with like, I guess, like similar abilities to him, right? I don't know.
I don't remember that at all, but
there was a scene.
That's the one that I saw the furthest away. So.
Okay. It's really not relevant. This is a different child you're talking about.
Yes, it is. Yes. At least I think it is, because that little girl that the Oracle saves by dealing with the French guy is like a major thing for the third movie with the train. Okay, I'm just gonna say you didn't. That's the one you didn't see. But
well, I mean, in case, you can be specific, because if somebody's listening and they have seen those movies, then you can just talk about it freely. Like, I don't care. Yeah. I didn't watch these because I'm particularly...
I'm trying to talk about it freely, but it's just like saying the train is specific because there was a guy, his name was like the Train Master or some shit like that.
Sure it was.
Because Neo was stuck down in the train hell. It was like a purgatory zone where he was stuck, and the family was there with the little girl. Anyway, so the Oracle...
You could literally be saying anything and I would believe it.
I know. Anyway, the Oracle saves that little girl, so she's allowed to come back. And so that's that's like, she grows up to be that young woman that they talk to in this new one, who is basically helping them formulate the plan to do all the shit.
Oh man, there's like an extended 10 minutes where they're going step by step through the plan, and I don't think I caught a single detail of that.
No, me either. I was like, okay, they're gonna go through the plan and then they're gonna do it. I'll watch them do it.
Exactly.
That was my whole thing. But anyway, that girl, that young woman was the girl, and it's the same actress. She grew up because
that's really cool.
It was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And
they also wrote into the story how it's only been 20 years for Keanu, for Neo.
Yes.
Even though it's been much longer for everybody else. It's like this explains how he looks so young.
And he looks the same. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love that. That was really good. But then, what was actually really strange was whenever they shave his head, and he actually looked really old suddenly.
Yeah, he does look younger with the John Wick hair.
Yeah, it's amazing what the hair and the beard does, because whenever he goes back to being the shaved Neo from, I don't know what to call it, whenever they're back in like Ragtown. Whenever they're just dressed
honestly,
in rags.
I felt like that kind of works though, because I just took it as this person who's been trapped in a pod for 2 decades and hasn't, or even longer than that or whatever, and hasn't seen the sun.
No, it totally works, but it was just strange to see old Keanu for the first time, whenever he looks like he doesn't age.
Right.
But anyway, we were talking about Morpheus. It's weird to me. I think without the knowledge that it's sort of an AI playing at Morpheus, and if they just try to say oh no, this is just Morpheus now, this was him the whole time. I think it would be like actually really bad, especially because it's that actor what felt like he was doing an impression of Lawrence Fishburne. And so I feel like that they basically told him to do that rather than him like just sort of like, oh, I'm Morpheus, so I need to act like Lawrence Fishburne.
It's cool how like they, you know, they're making a sequel to a movie that came out almost 20 years ago, and they have all these different things that they deal with, whether it's like a different actor or like aging or whatever, and to come up with like clever ways within the universe and the story to explain them away is pretty cool.
Yeah. The thing that really cemented this for me was that like he's acting like Lawrence Fishburne was the way he says Neo, like the way he like delivers that is like trying to do it the way Lawrence Fishburne does, because that was like so fucking iconic for me. Just the way he delivers that, and he gets kind of close. Like he can't do it exactly, but
I'd still like to know why they didn't approach him, because like on the one hand, having a different actor, like the way the movie is set up where there's a lot of like stuff that you as the viewer don't know, and so you meet this guy before you know that he's Morpheus, right?
Yes.
So like having a different actor works in that sense, but like I still would have rather had Fisher.
Of course, me too. Yeah. But I think another part of it is that they wanted to keep the weird ass canon, because I had always heard this, and this is the one part I didn't look into too deeply. I always just kind of took it as fact, was that, oh yeah, Morpheus dies in the Matrix Online MMO. Oh no. And that's canon. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, man.
That's
and
incredible.
And all of a sudden they made a fourth movie that Lawrence Fishburne isn't in. And I'm like, oh, so they really did that. And then in the movie, like they're explaining in the cave or whatever, he's like, yeah, we elected Morpheus Emperor of Forever, and then he fucking died.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I guess that happened in the MMO, right? So,
wow. Okay. I actually respect it more now that I've just learned that. That's...
Yeah, but then it's like, okay, but you're still using a Morpheus, so you still could have
used Fishburne and still explained it away.
Right, but then does it lose the impact of the real Morpheus being dead if you just bring him back as Lawrence Fishburne AI? Probably. But it's like, okay, he died off screen in a game that nobody played.
Yeah, it's like,
are you really sticking to that?
Shouldn't a central character have a better send-off? Or,
you would think. You would think. But like that goes back to it. It's like clearly the Wachowskis were done with this franchise, right?
Yeah, that doesn't explain it right there.
Yeah, they were done. They had handed it off. Like I was looking at their like whole process to like giving the okay to the MMO. Basically, they're like, yeah, this is great. Like this is gonna be the future of gaming. Blah 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 blah. Because they're like enormous gamers and all this shit. And it's like, yeah, we're giving the story to the fans, or you know, whatever. And so it's like, yeah, take the Matrix world and you go make things with it. And so they're like, yeah, that's it, we're done. And so yeah, in canon in the MMO, Morpheus dies. I don't know if that's like the finale of the game or if that's just like a thing that happens. But because I'd always heard stories about how players like staged funerals and vigils for him in game. Wow. And all this kinds of shit. And so, yeah, so it's like, clearly they were not going back to this world. And then it's like, well, now that you want to encompass everything. Because, like, if you would want to include something that the biggest Matrix diehards can, you know, appreciate and, like, really sink their teeth into, right? And so...
Right, but also make sense for everybody else.
Yeah, and so like I guess the best way to do that is to respect the canon of a game that like 1,000 people played. So I don't know. It's really fascinating. Yeah.
So you liked it?
I enjoyed it. Yeah. There were some just like weird technical things, like so much of it is like so well made technically, and then there are just moments that like frankly look like shit that really take you out of it. And it's like, I don't know if this needed more time. I thought it was delayed a bunch, but I don't know the specifics on that. Or if like there was some intentionality or what was going on.
Yeah, it's a little hard to tell, right? Because I'm sure the stuff that you're talking about is happening in the Matrix itself, which has all sorts of like quirks and things happening that are outside of like reality, right?
Yeah, so like those bits, like you can usually get a handle on. It's like, oh yeah, this is meant to look like it's an actual set or something, because there are layers of like fourth walls upon fourth walls, essentially. Something along those lines. You know what I mean? Where it's I was gonna make an Evangelion reference, but that would be lost on. So there's a part in the fourth movie where
the fourth Evangelion movie or this movie?
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for catching that. In the fourth Evangelion movie, God in heaven, where there's a shot of the characters on a stage, like suddenly, like the camera just like snaps back, and the characters are not in scene; they're on a stage, and it's like this weird whiplash. Like, oh fuck, these are characters, like these are actors, but they're like it's like this weird shift. So there are things like that, like in the Matrix, because there's like these layers of separation.
The Neil Patrick Harris stuff was so cool.
That's what I mean. Like that stuff with his time bending shit.
Yeah.
Was like, oh yeah, it's like how do we make bullet time cooler, basically? Well, we have to find something, and we did. But then there is just stuff that like just looks really bad and cheap. Like whenever they take the pill and they're acting like they're drunk, and the camera goes to like 2 frames a second.
Yeah.
That just looked really bad and cheap.
Yeah, it's weird because this was a franchise that was on the cutting edge visually.
Yes.
And for the most part, this new one does hold up to like modern, visual standards and whatnot. And in some ways even does stuff that you don't really see.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, there are those moments that are like, ugh.
Yeah. And what was another one? The fight scene in, I don't know what to call it, that like dusty area with the like the scaffolding. That was like pretty muddled and hard to make out what was going on. It was like very modern fight scene rather than like Matrix standard fight scene.
Yeah.
Where like all the shots are too close and there's quick cuts and everything's kind of brown, and so you can't really see what's going on.
Who was the guy complaining about, the old man complaining about like kids and their phones?
Yeah, that's the French guy from
is that
2 and 3.
I guess I must not have gotten to him.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, for whatever reason, he's like a big character in 2 and 3.
Okay.
And then they like now all of a sudden he was like this French, basically an information broker that they had to keep going to for one MacGuffin after another, basically, and he was trying to screw them over. And he was just this very fancy dude, and he would talk philosophically about language and sex for the most part, like finer things and all this kinds of shit.
So what happened to him?
Exactly. No, and at the beginning, that's why he's like, oh, this is all your fucking fault, Neo. And that's why he's like, all this kinds of shit. Yeah. And so then all of a sudden he's like, so then first he was blaming Neo, and all of a sudden he's like ranting about people on their phones and Facebook.
Yeah, he turned into a boomer very quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. While they're doing this fight scene, that part I liked. I just didn't like how muddled the fight scene itself was.
There was a good bit of humor too when the fight scene ends and like the dust settles and he's just standing there and he's like, okay, I guess I'm leaving now.
Yeah, he's like, oh well, shit, and then he leaves. But what is crazy about that sequence is that that fight scene with like all these different people, and it's switching all these angles, and it's too close, and it just looks like a modern crummy Marvel fight scene. And then it immediately goes into a Neo versus Smith fight.
Yeah,
that looks fucking amazing.
It looks like the Matrix.
It looks like the Matrix. It looks so good. And like the dialogue between the two is really good. I thought I forget his name, but the kid from Mindhunter, I'm gonna call him.
He plays a good Smith.
He's probably 32, but. Yeah, his Smith was great. I actually really liked that aspect of it.
Like, you knew who he was before they technically reveal who he is.
You really did, yeah. And he wasn't doing an impression either. He just had this this aura about him, as this young, slick bastard, basically. Yeah, no, he was fantastic. And that fight scene was incredible. Just the way that they're just wailing on each other.
Oh, just killing each other, yeah.
Yeah. And because in the second and third movies, I never completely bought into the whole Neo versus Smith like as foils thing, or like, you know, two sides of the same coin.
They kept referring to that, which I didn't have too much familiarity with that whole thing. I just kind of rolled with it.
Yeah, I never really got it. I never really bought into it. It just felt like Smith kept popping up and Neo kept beating his ass. That's kind of how it felt to me.
Yeah. A little one-sided.
But in this one, for whatever reason, it worked. And I don't know what changed specifically, but I like actually was like feeling it and bought into it, like that these two were like really connected and like sort of can't escape each other in a way that I didn't get in the previous movies. And I don't know what changed.
I truly could not say.
Right, exactly. But it's something I was thinking about, and I've been thinking about it since, and I still can't put my finger on it. But
it does make a turn. It does make a turn that happens later on in the film pretty effective.
It does, yeah. And it's basically, all right, yeah. It's like, I'll help you now, but it's like we're still fucking stuck together. Mm-hmm. And it works for me. It really does. But yeah, back to my whole like there are some parts that look amazing and like the Matrix and will definitely hold up, in another 20 years. And then there is just stuff that automatically look really bad. The train sequence is another sequence that looked pretty bad. Another muddled thing. And because then I think they also took the pill at that point too. So then it went to 2 frames a second. That was messy. And then the thing that really, really, really took me out was Jada Pinkett Smith. It was cool
to see her, but yeah, you're talking about specifically the aging makeup that they did on her, right?
The makeup, yes, and then her doing the I'm an old lady now voice was not good.
Yeah.
It was not good.
And it also didn't help that her character, like in this movie, was like all her scenes were just like info dumps where she's like explaining what has happened in the time that Neo has been absent.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a whole lot that she had to work with for her, like as her own character.
Yeah.
Like she did have like the struggle of like trying to keep keeping her community safe versus helping out Neo and all that. But
yeah, I guess there was the bit where she's like, I'm an old lady lesbian now. It's like, okay, good,
yeah.
like good for you. But yeah, the performance of her just putting on the old lady voice, the makeup looked really, really bad.
Well, we were talking about this a little bit last week. It's that when these characters are in the Matrix, everything's really cool, and then when they leave it, it's like there's like a coldness that takes over, and you can kind of see everything. It's almost like if you go into one of those like public restrooms with the bad lighting, and you look in the
yellowed.
Yeah, you look in the mirror, and nothing really is the same as you thought it was in your head.
Yeah. But then it's like, is it trying to say something there? Because that's sort of what all the humans are trying to get to, is that status of living, right? Mm-hmm. The Matrix is a lie. It's this false reality. It's this false happiness. But you're trying to get to rag world. You're trying to get to, you're eating dirt. You're fighting off machine, sentient life forms. There's no sunlight. I still don't understand like where they are physically. I still don't. I
feel like they're like underwater.
I have
like they're
no
like
idea.
The bottom of the ocean or something. I don't know.
I have no idea where they're located. I still don't. And it's like, but that's the reality that they're desperately trying to get to. Mm-hmm. And it sucks shit.
Yeah.
It sucks ass.
But it's real though, and it's true, and you have your agency, and it's.
But everybody's a miserable SOB, like.
Yeah, but you're just as miserable in the Matrix. You just don't know.
I suppose that's really what it is. But it doesn't make for an interesting visual, and it's not as compelling. It's just not nearly as compelling. And that is a problem that all of the Matrix movies had.
Yeah, I agree.
And that was the biggest issue with the third one, was that's where you spend the majority of the time was in rag world. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was a slog to get through. And like that's where like the big plot shit happens, is in rag world. But that's just what I'm gonna call it from now on.
Zion.
Call it. Oh, right. No, but wasn't that was just the one city, right?
Oh, well, Zion was the original, and this one was called IO.
Yeah, because that matters. Because Morpheus is fucking dead. I don't know. But like that's where all like the big plot things happen. You know, it's like you got to save Trinity, you got to do all this. You know, all these things, and it's like I don't like it here. This is boring. This kind of sucks. And it's a problem that even this movie, for as good as it is, it still doesn't overcome that.
Yeah, actually, when you put it that way, it's like the Matrix is, when you're in the Matrix, it's the visually interesting thing for the viewer of the movie, but it's the thing everybody's trying to escape.
Yeah.
So that is interesting, that sort of contradiction there.
Yeah. But then I guess, so then what is, this is like the open-ended question of the movie is, well, what does the ending mean, right? Where Neo and Trinity say that they're going to remake the Matrix. Well, what does that mean then? You'd think they would just destroy the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, you'd think by now they would learn, right?
Yeah.
You can't exist in this made up world without something going wrong. It's no matter how you rework it to how you want it to be, something's always going to go wrong.
Yeah, but then at the same time, Neo and Trinity are the ones in the Matrix that are the ones with agency. Like they're the ones that can fucking fly and, you know, stop bullets, and like they're superheroes, right?
Well, so this is one thing I wasn't sure about. So like, are there any actual real human beings still stuck in the Matrix? Or are they all just like, are all the quote unquote people in the Matrix just like the quote unquote swarms, the like robots in disguise?
I believe they were saying that there were still people connected into the pods.
Okay.
Because they were like, well, we can't go, like, it was so dangerous to get Neo out, and we can't even get our, like, some of our own people out, blah, 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 blah. And so now we're going to go back for Trinity, and like, no, we can't do that.
Okay, yes, they couldn't justify their own people, but they went and tried to rescue Trinity.
Yeah. Well, they went and rescued Neo because he's, you know, he's super important.
Yeah.
And that's why they were like hemming and hawing about Trinity. Even though whenever they touch, they get this feeling and blah, 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 blah. So they had to go get her too. But it's like now they have like the powers of creation or whatever in the Matrix, and so it's like, okay, are you gonna make it so that you can live there forever now, and it's not feeding a machine? Like, what is the goal?
Yeah, like, is the goal to remake the world we live in just with having agency in it? Like, because I don't think that holds up with the original movie's like messaging when it comes to like anti-capitalism and stuff.
Right.
So that is an interesting question. I don't know. Like, is there intention to make a fifth one?
I'm sure Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Warner Brothers wants to.
Yeah. But it seems like the Wachowskis were done before. I'd imagine they're done now. Like,
yeah, I would think so.
Because the other one, like, didn't want to direct it at all. And just has the co-writing credit.
Yeah, this one is just directed by Lana.
Yeah, so you know, it seems they might be locked into, if Warner Brothers just keeps saying, "Hey, we're gonna make it
with or without you,
with or without you," and like you're stuck.
What's the line Neo says a million times? Do I really have a choice?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like she's living in her own Matrix with her ties to Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
It really is. It's such a clever movie when it comes to the self-awareness. I really appreciated all that stuff. It was very cool.
Yeah. Like that's totally the stuff that like hooks you and works best. And the actual Matrix stuff itself. And then this the Neo Trinity connection, which is the only saving grace of Ragworld. It's like that is basically it. It's like you have all these other characters. I think some of the new characters, the what was her name, Glitch or whatever, the new character they introduced.
Oh, the team was good.
Yeah, like
the team that Neo's working with was good.
Yeah, it's just that they're in that world and they don't really have much to do.
No,
it's whenever they were in the Matrix that like things were happening. You know, it was.
Well, it's funny. It's like Neo gets thrown into like a room. Like they lock him up.
Yeah.
In IO, and he has a balcony, and I'm like, oh, they're just gonna pick him up. And literally 2 seconds later, they pick up, the ship shows up and picks him up, and they take off. So they wasted no time, which is good.
I guess they wanted to maybe fake you out a little bit because the guard was like, hey, settle a bet. He's like, could you really fly? And he's like, yeah, I could fly, you know. But it's like he can't anymore. And then he goes to the balcony and he's like, oh, he could fly away. Oh, wait, he can't fly anymore. And then they come in with the
Right.
ship.
And it was cool how Morpheus materialized through the vents or whatever. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like a cool little visual thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good movie. I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I didn't get hung up on what I wasn't really invested in when it comes to the sequels, the earlier sequels.
Yeah.
I don't think this movie. I think it requires the first one for sure because like structurally, there's a lot. They have a lot in common. It references back to the first movie. I think a lot more than it does the second and third.
Yeah, I would say so. Structurally, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Like there are a lot of nods when it comes to like different plot points and just like narrative beats and stuff.
Yeah, there's just
that
like
you appreciate a lot more.
those threads of characters. Like I forget what the character was named. Shawnee? Anyway, she was the little girl in 3 and then is an adult in 4, you know, and is the same actress. And so things like that. And then, like, I guess the other big moment in the third one is when Neo and Trinity go off on their own to the Machine City.
Well, they showed that crash like 5 times.
They kept showing the crash, and I was like, okay, yeah, we got it. And so, like, that was basically the other thing.
Yeah, so it didn't take that much of piecing things together on my part.
Yeah. You just gotta try to find a private server that's still hosting the Matrix online. Trying to keep it alive so you can witness Morpheus's death. And then
maybe I'll check out the new Unreal Engine thing, which I still don't know how that fits in, if at all.
Yeah. Then you got to play the PS2 game to see how in the third one how they turned off the reactor for Neo and Trinity to get into the Machine City.
Yeah, see, the logistics of how they get to A to B or how they execute a plan, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like it's cool. It's cool if you get into that, but
that's just the one moment where in the third movie they're like, okay, you guys, you have to go take a team and go to this reactor facility and turn it off. And then like in the next sequence, it's like, okay, yep, they turned it off, cool.
Yeah.
And then that whole section is like the crux of that video game. Is they're just doing it. It's just like it's totally off screen. Totally, completely, but like they set it up as this big thing in the movie. It's like you, and you gotta go. It's like, well, how long do we have? Blah 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 blah, and like all this other shit. Yeah, the weird tie-ins. But that's the Matrix.
Yeah, that's the Matrix. I think I caught it on the very last day that it was on HBO Max.
Oh, nice. Hey,
yeah,
I didn't know it would be leaving.
Yeah, so this is like the last of their day and date like theater, like same day theater releases, and so for each of those they have them on the streaming service for 30 days. Then they take them off for a period of time where you can like rent them on other like services, and then eventually after a few months they'll come back on.
I see.
So it'll be back in like a couple of months.
The Matrix will return.
Yeah. It wasn't Rage Against the Machine this time, but the ending credits song was really good.
Okay, all right. I almost forgot. Thank you for reminding me. We have to talk about that.
Oh yeah.
Because
we're not going to get to my dry settle thing, are we?
Probably not. Probably not.
Man.
Probably not. So the song, the movie.
Can we just go extra long today?
We're probably gonna have to. So the movie ends and then the credits roll over.
I thought you were transitioning into the festival stuff.
Not even yet. We haven't.
I thought that's what you were doing. Oh my goodness.
No, we haven't left the Matrix yet.
Wait, do you want to stop recording after this and then just have the festival stuff be next week's?
We could do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So the movie ends and the credits roll over a Rage Against the Machine brass cover band.
Wait, is that what that was?
Yes. Called Brass Against. Now.
Brass Against.
Now.
That sounds like it would be like a Rise Against cover band.
You would think, but no. They're a Rage Against the Machine cover band. Now, they got into the news a couple months ago because at a show, the lead vocalist pissed all over a dude's face on stage.
Like, was there consent?
Oh, yes, indeedy.
Okay.
He was wearing a GoPro.
Hopefully the one with, rated for waterproof.
Yeah. So there was video footage of it because here's a lady pulling down her pants and pissing all over a dude's face. And so that went crazy. Then they started like furiously apologizing for it. Then there were just lots of people saying, "Why are you apologizing? It's the coolest thing I ever saw."
Yeah.
So whenever I heard a brass cover of Rage Against the Machine ending the fourth Matrix movie, I had to quickly confirm and see if it was Brass Against. And of course it was, because how many brass Rage Against the Machine cover bands are there?
They sort of own that market, yeah.
Yes, they do. And they're trying to corner the piss on the face on stage market as well.
I mean,
So,
was this show? Hopefully, the show is 18 plus, right? Because like it's one thing. It's one
it was
thing
some
to
kind of festival.
Okay.
It was definitely an adult that got pissed on. It was a man. In
well,
his
well. I mean,
50s.
but there's also you have to think there's also audience members.
Sure. Yeah.
There's people witnessing.
Yeah, with the backsplash. Yeah.
No, and also just witnessing that act.
They were not. It was some kind of festival. They were not heavily attended.
Okay.
Because who wants to see a Rage Against the Machine brass cover band?
Well, you know, COVID prevented concerts from happening for a long time. This is like your only chance to get out and see something.
And this is why. Because you have people going around just pissing all over the stage. Yeah, I wonder what the royalties are for that, for getting onto the Matrix credits.
And why they went with the cover band route versus
Like, yeah, is that cheaper?
I don't know. It's Warner Brothers. Like, why should it matter?
You would think Warner Brothers actually probably has the Rage Against the Machine original.
Yeah, right.
Like, there's probably good odds of that. But yeah,
maybe this is like some sort of like this is in line with like the commentary they were making, like the whole meta aspect of the film. Like it's not the original Rage Against the Machine. It's like a different version of them, right? Like it's
right. This is not the Morpheus you know. This is not the Rage Against the Machine you know.
Yeah,
it's a pissier version.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Speaking of pissy, can I share this dry cycle thing?
Yes.
I feel like that's the perfect segue. I'm gonna take advantage of it. I want to talk hockey for a brief moment, and I hope that doesn't turn people away because I think this is worth it. This was I have a soundbite here from an interview earlier this week. So just to set this up briefly, the Edmonton Oilers are a struggling hockey team. They started out the season really well. They've been on a pretty bad run the past couple months.
I heard they haven't won a game in like a calendar month.
Well, they also haven't played many. They've had some postponements. So like that could be true, but it's also that's a little bit exaggerated just because of the amount of games they played. They did lose 6-0 last night to Florida. So
well, yeah.
But anyway, so it's tough because this team it's struggling, and there's a lot of like front office decisions that contribute to that. The team is very poorly managed on like an executive level, right? Like. Mm-hmm. And it's so frustrating because they have the two best players in the league. Yeah. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So they have the two most productive, highest scoring players in the league, and they still are losing a lot. And so anyway, you know, hockey players, they have press conferences, they talk to the media. There's a one reporter, I forget his name. He's been working in like hockey journalism for like 50 years, and he's covered the Oilers for a long time. And so he asked Leon Draisaitl, one of the stars, some questions. And this is in the midst of their struggling period. And Leon's, you know, well, I'll just play it. I'll send you the link here.
Did you think over the last 2 years you've been second in your division, and you showed a lot of maturity, but now you've lost 6 in a row twice? Did you think your team was past that, of not getting into these long losing streaks?
Sure, yeah.
Lots of reasons for why the Oilers are playing the way they are in terms of winning and losing. What do you think is the number one reason for the losses now? Is there one thing that you, in your own mind, you're saying we got to get better at that?
Yeah, we have to get better at everything.
Would you like to expand on that?
No. You can do that. You know everything.
Why are you so pissy, Leon? Why are you so pissy?
I'm not. I'm just answering your
question. Yeah, you are. Whenever I ask you a question.
I gave you an answer.
Not a very good one.
Okay.
Well, I have one more for you. Leon, you show your frustration on the ice last game against Ottawa. Is that a good thing when you show it so the other team knows you're frustrated?
Yeah, it's a great thing, for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are you so pissy?
Why are you so pissy, Leon?
What's amazing is like, you know how like there's the stereotype of like Canadians are nicer than like everybody else.
Yeah.
I love how in Canada, a reporter gets to ask a player, "Why are you so pissy?" And then he gets a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Like he isn't just shut down immediately.
Well, the PR handler, you can kind of hear it in the back, was trying to end the session. This guy was a little assertive. You can tell he's, like you said, he's been working for
He's been
50
doing
years.
it. Yeah, he feels entitled for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's tempers are gonna flare whenever you're losing that badly for like this long of a period.
I thought this was hilarious. A reporter asking Leon Draisaitl why he's so pissy.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's such a good soundbite. But yeah, no, I mean, Leon had the little jab where he's like, you know everything, right? Mm-hmm. But like, come on. Like, that is like the most unprofessional. Like, why are you so pissy? That is the most unprofessional thing. But
I mean, like, this is a tough situation for both sides here, because on the one side, you've got a reporter that has to keep writing about this fucking team. Mm-hmm. And trying to provide color to like writing about how they keep losing and are basically doing nothing right. Yeah, like both sides know that they're doing nothing right.
Sorry.
Before that, he is asking pretty good questions. Like he's like, "What do you think is like the biggest issue with the team right now?" Basically, and he's like, "If you could pin it on one thing, like what's an area where the team has to improve?" And he says everything, and that's
which is true. Yeah.
But it doesn't really give him anything to work with in terms of writing. So he's like, okay, he's asking a follow up. He's like, all right, even though they both know that that's true, right? Mm-hmm. But that's an answer that does him no favors in terms of trying to. Yeah,
but it's
something.
Not Leon's job to do him to help.
No, it's absolutely not. It's not at all. Like he gives him answers. Mm-hmm. The only answer that was shitty was the one where he's like giving him some lip, right?
Right.
And he has every right to do that too. So it's just there's like a push and pull here,
There is a dynamic, and I think it's one that's already been established before this soundbite, because they have a relationship. They've had to interact with each other before.
Yeah, of course. A reporter covering a team for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And the other thing you have to factor in is what is Draisaitl's nationality?
German.
He's German?
Yeah.
Okay. Canadians, on the whole, are kind of nationalistic.
Okay.
In hockey, where they usually, whenever a team is struggling or a player fucks up, like has a really bad giveaway or whatever, they are quicker to forgive a Canadian player than one of another nationality, especially European.
I wasn't aware of this.
They favor good old Canadian boys over other nationalities.
Interesting.
So I don't know this reporter's background. I don't know like what kind of stuff he writes. So I don't know his disposition towards certain players. But knowing that, he might have needled Draisaitl in the past, more specifically. Like, is this how he would approach McDavid? I really doubt it. Mm-hmm. So that's just kind of the sense I get.
So it's like a double standard going on here.
I think so, because having followed hockey for basically my whole life, European players get the short end of the stick, especially from Canadian media, even whenever they are on top of the world.
Which Leon is on top of the world here, because he's the second highest points getter in the league.
Yes. So I really doubt he would have called McDavid pissy, because McDavid is a good Canadian boy. No, so it's the 2 hour mark. That's what happens.
Yeah.
It's like the brain goes to mush.
Yeah. So what are you doing this weekend?
Yeah.
Play some 2K.
Yeah, we took some notes last week.
Yeah, we did.
About topics that we should maybe avoid, and then we just went. You know what? We went in and we said, "Fuck it." We went in. Oh God! Thank you so much for listening. We really do appreciate it. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at DeadEndRoad. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/DeadEndRoadTV. The podcast shows up on the Facebook feed somehow because I'm seeing engagement on it, but I can't see it myself. So I don't know how that works.
It was Paul Schrader.
Maybe. So if anybody would like to report back to me.
Oh wait, are we doing a movie
how...
next week?
Oh, are we?
Do you want to? Because I have one.
We can. Yeah.
It was one I picked because I thought it might be of interest to you.
Okay, because literally all I have now is the festival thing. So yeah, we could.
Yeah, I figured we could watch The Tragedy of Macbeth, Joel Cohen's new one with Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a Shakespeare adaptation.
Yeah. All right.
Pretty interesting that like this week Lana Wachowski went solo, and now Joel Cohen's going solo for the first time.
Hey, these duos, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, if anybody could tell me how the podcast looks on the Facebook page, if you have Facebook, I'd be very curious because I see people liking it, but I can't see it. It's very strange to me. Anyway, twitch.tv/DeadEndRoad. I'm gonna be streaming 14 raids. If anybody gives a flying fuck about that, YouTube search for DeadEndRoad TV. Yeah, that's it. We're done.
All right.
Brain's melting. We'll see you next time.